Hey guys, welcome to the Something About Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Phebe Joi. Join me every other Tuesday for a lighthearted podcast to keep you company while you do your thing. Hey guys, welcome back to Something About Tuesdays, episode 37. I'm your host, Phebe Joi, and hi, hey, and welcome. Hey everybody, I hope you had a great last couple of weeks. I have to say that I've had a pretty good one. Y'all know summer's winding down in quite the most depressing way. I mean, literally, y'all, it's just flying by. But the last couple of weeks I've had some pretty cool random moments happen, and then just some fun stuff. I think I'm enjoying ending my summer, so I'm going to catch y'all up with that. But I have to start with moments where I tried to be cool. Specifically one moment when I tried to be cool and it totally didn't work. Okay, so this is this is just part of what these last couple of weeks have held for me. But anywho, okay, so here we go. So I was, okay, as y'all know, I'm a millennial. If you don't know, I'm in my mid-30s, which just sounds horrific to say. Mid-30s. Oh my gosh, not horrific. No, right, we're working on that. It's amazing. I am blessed to be able to be in my mid-30s. Oh my gosh, just saying that. Anyway, I know. I promise I will get over it. I will stop talking about it. It just, as it comes, as it gets closer, like I'm going to be 35 here in a couple months. Yeah, I know. So as it gets closer, it bears on me. But again, looking forward to aging. So anyway, so I said all that to say, so being a millennial, we have that kind of perk of we were born with the analog age and also got to experience the digital age. So my lovely stepchild, Sid, so she's Gen Z. And so sometimes if there's things that I'm like, okay, help me out with this, I'll just ask her. Like, I know a lot of things like we did have technology, right? Like I still grew up with technology. By high school, I think is when we had, I had internet. I remember in middle school, I think is when I first experienced internet. I remember that was the dial-up system, like the like it would make this noise and take forever to load, like 20 minutes. And if it was 20 minutes, you were doing good. But anywho, so it's not that I don't know how to use technology. I was raised with it, but some things I haven't quite caught up with, I guess, in some ways. Well, one of the things that my stepchild does that I'm like, that is so cool every time she does it. And I know this sounds so silly, but she will pay with her phone. Like she's got, I know you're like, that's it. But really though, like she'll just do the whole tap scan thing. And so it took me forever to actually get Apple Pay on my phone. But now that I have that, I was like, I want to do that. I want to be able to like tap, scan, pay with my phone or whatever. And so she showed me how to do it once. I think we were in like a Target or something. And she showed me how to do it. So, and that was the one and only time I did it. I was like, it isn't fluid enough. It isn't part of my habit enough for me to actually pay that way. I still go for my card. Y'all, I still am trying to think, I still think it's cool to use the chip thing and just to tap it and let it like beep, instead of inserting it. I mean, guys, we went from swiping to inserting to now just like laying on top. And I'm still very awkward with that. I never quite know where to lay the thing. So I'm very nerdy with that. To, now people paying with their phones. So there it was. I was like, you know what? I was at the store and I can't remember what was I getting? I don't know if I was getting some food or something. I don't know. Generally, probably some food. That's where I spend most of my money. But, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay with my phone. I'm going to be cool like Sid. So I, tapped it open, got to the wallet and tried to scan the thing. Oh, I know. I was at TJ Maxx. Yeah. So I was at TJ Maxx and I scanned that thing and it was like, beep, card declined. I was like, what? What do you mean? I was like, oh, I must have just clicked it wrong. So I just beep, held it up again, restarted it. Beep, card declined. I was like, Oh, I know I have money. And I think I tried it 3 times before I was like, I guess I'll just pay with my card. So I paid with my card that I thought was also on my phone, and it worked perfectly fine, But I was like, the one time I go to use this card and to try to be cool or use my phone, and it like declines on me. And so I immediately called Sid. It was like, Sid, I tried this thing and it didn't work. And she was like, I don't know why. Did you open it right? Did you, have it right? I was like, I think so. And so when I tried to be cool and pay like a Gen Z person, it totally didn't work for me. But later, I was hanging out with Sid. We actually were on our stephood date, I believe. Yeah, I think we were on our stephood date, and I was buying some cookies, and I used my phone, and it worked that time because I was ready to show her, like, look, it's not working, but it actually did work that time. So then I was like, okay. So who knows what I did wrong there? Yeah, who knows? But I tried to be cool. It failed, y'all. That's not the only time. This episode, I'm gonna tell you about a time that I tried to be cool and it totally didn't work. But anyway, but that keeps life interesting, right? It definitely keeps me humble. But anyway, so the stephood date, I mentioned that. I might have mentioned it last year. I'm not sure because it's something that Sid and I do every year, or we try to do. We try to do it annually, and that is we try to hang out. She and I at around the same time that my husband and I got married, because I say that's the time that we became family as well. Like I gained a daughter, she gained an extra mom, so why can't we celebrate? Like I got a husband, okay, but I also got a daughter and she got an extra mom, so. Usually we try to do something fun. And so this year we were going to go to the Science Museum, which is what we did back, I think when she was like 12. But time got away and we're like, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's do food, right? Stuff that I'm always in the mood for. She's always in the mood for, So we decided to do food. And because it's she and I was like, let's do something different. Something that, because, young people are pretty much willing to try most things. And I know that she likes kind of like the ramen and Asian food as I do. And well, my husband, I think he likes it, but he just hasn't gotten on board with maybe going around and trying different ones. So I was like, let's try this place. I think it was called Masami. Well, I can't think of the name of it, but I was like, let's try this place that has some ramen and let's go there. And so we did, and we had, good conversation on the way there. We get there and I ordered this, I think it was a vegetarian ramen. And when it came out, surprise, surprise, I think the noodles were special because they were green. Like they were this green colored noodle, which I'd never had before, and was not expecting. I was like, what is this? But it was, and it tasted kind of like vegetarian-y. I don't know if that's a thing, but it was pretty good. The ramen was good. Sid got hers. What did she get? I think she got rice and steak, I think, which is kind of like her. It's so funny because she loves her steak and her rice. She's loved that since she was like little, since I've known her, right, since she was like 7. So for over quite some years, she's always liked her steak and rice. But she got that, and we were able to hang out and talk and chat. And then after that, she was like, hey, you want to go to the mall? I was like, sure. So we went shopping there a little bit. My child is a perfume nut, and so we went to the different department stores and perfume stores and smelled all kinds of perfume, where she ended up buying herself one. And she's there so frequently that the lady who works there like knows her and gives her discounts and things. So we did that and that was fun. And then afterward, while I was there, that was when I got my, when we were at the mall, that was when I got the cookie from Great American Cookie Cake actually. And, and that's when I paid with my phone and felt cool to make up for the time that I didn't or tried to and couldn't, and felt not as cool. But yeah, so we did that. And then of course afterward, we decided to go to the Tropical Smoothie Cafe and got smoothies. Y'all, we just had a good old time. So that was fun. That was our stephood date. That was a moment where I felt cool and didn't quite work, but other times where I felt cool, but it did work. And it's almost kind of a life hack. And so, so this one is, speaking of food and everything, my husband, like I said, we kind of have our staples, the different places that we like to go, and we kind of go there pretty consistently. Even for which each genre, like we like different types of genres. For example, of food. So we like Japanese food. I think that's probably my husband's favorite is Japanese. My favorite, I think, is Indian. And then we also both like Thai, and we both like Korean, and we both like Vietnamese. We love a ton of the Asian food. And so one that we don't do very often is Vietnamese. And so my husband and I celebrated, as you can infer from the stephood date, our 11th anniversary this last week. And so we decided to go to the Vietnam Kitchen, which is this place that it's like a little hole in the wall, like just this tiny little area, but it's one of the, I would say, few Vietnamese places in the city, and it's just really good. I mean, it had a good reputation. It's been around for quite a while, family owned, and so we went there, and it's funny because here's the cool part. The life hack is that probably like the second or third time we went there, we kept forgetting what it was that we liked, because when you don't know all the words in the language, you're kind of like, what was that one? What was the difference between that one and that one? Did I like that? And so I actually, on my phone, I don't know when I figured this out, but I wrote down Vietnam Kitchen, and I wrote down our orders. And so now every time we go, I can just whip out my phone and be like, we like this one, this one, this one, and this one. This is the appetizer. This is the main course. And it makes it so much easier, because my husband, he thought he had the right number. And I was like, nah, it's A6. It's not that. It's not K6. It's A6. And we looked and it was right. He was like, oh, and I was like, yep. So that's a life hack. If you go to a place not often enough to remember your order, but when you do go, you want to know what you like, write it down. Write down that perfect thing you got. So when you go back, you can just look and be like, okay, I liked the number 15 or whatever it was. And it's funny because also included, because I get, surprisingly, I do get the vegetarian meal there. And so I get I can't remember what it's called. Actually, I don't even know what it's called. I just know it's a letter and a number. And then I have them written next to it, like no tofu, no mock duck, no mushrooms. And so I don't even have to think about what's in it. I just automatically say, I want this with no this, this, and this. And it's great. So life hack, for any of those places you go to that maybe you aren't as familiar with the menu, but you found something you liked, write that in your phone. And I promise you, even if it's like 8 months later, it is so useful to have that written down somewhere, so that you can remember that. Now, speaking of that, this is kind of totally going off my notes, but I feel like I kind of need to do the same with recipes. So y'all, I think I told y'all at the beginning of the summer, I have a list of things I want to accomplish this summer. And one of those things is I want to write down a bunch of recipes that I actually have made, that I enjoy, or that I want to make, and that wouldn't be too hard, because I'm always trying to improve myself. And one of those things is trying to become a better cook, or I should say a more frequent cook, my precious husband. And so I need to figure out kind of like a good system for recipes, or for remembering meals, or like, oh, I did make that one meal and it wasn't very hard. Because you guys know how sometimes you just get in a rut and you're just like, I don't even know what to cook. Like, I don't know what to make, and nothing sounds good. You're like, I don't know. I guess we'll just eat spaghetti again, or tacos. That's like our go-to. It's either spaghetti or tacos. It's so easy to ground some beef and just be done with it, right? And so I if y'all have any suggestions, feel free to let me know, because I am trying to figure it out. I thought about buying a notebook, buying a recipe book, but at the same time, I'm like, sometimes I'm not motivated at all. I did order off Shein a kind of a cute little meal planner notebook. It was like $2, but it's like for each day and what ingredients you'll need for that week. So one of these days, you guys, I am going to be on it, and I am going to be able to cook more frequently and do well. I just got to figure out my system first. That's all I got to do, is just figure out how to make this work for me, right? Work for my personality. But anywho, so the other thing, and this is kind of leads to my next thing, like something that's good that works for my system, is another life hack. I know I did some life hacks last summer, but these are some fresh and new ones. And this one is, okay, so I have had, y'all know from the beginning of the summer, I planned on having 2.5 weeks of laziness. Well, to say that it has extended into to now. So we'll say a month and a half into summer break. I have still been quite lazy, but I have reframed it, by the way. Instead of lazy days, I call them restful days. Yeah, I'm not being lazy. I'm being restful. I'm just catching up on the rest that I missed out, throughout the year, or just giving my body time to rest. That's all I'm doing. So I'm not having lazy days. I'm having restful days, but let's just say I'm definitely having a lot of those. And a lot of these restful days include getting on my computer, playing a game on my computer, reading a book, watching things on YouTube, like so much of just kind of sitting, being stiff and still for a while. I have been laying on my very nice new mattress and loving that to death. That I think that has attributed a lot to my restfulness, because I've just really enjoyed cuddling in bed this summer. But so one of the things that I started to do was, when I watch YouTube, and this is a hack that I think only works with YouTube. It might work with Instagram too. If you're like a social media person like me, I will scroll for days, which I'm definitely going to work on that too. In fact, I was listening to one of my podcasts this week, the Ghost Runners podcast, and there was a guest on there, and he was talking about how he had this app. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called Opal or something, and it like calculates how much time of your life, like by the end of your life, if you lived to a certain age, was spent like online. And it was something ridiculous. And y'all, so this week, I don't mean to be jumping all over the place, but I'm just reminded of things. So this week, I was actually in a PD. I went to a tech PD, so it was like a little tech conference. It was a day-long tech conference from like 8 to 3 or something, and you go to different sessions. And one of the sessions I went to was this guy who was talking about pretty much like the terrible impact that social media and screens and things like that are having on children. And he referenced this book that you may have heard of. I think it was called The Anxious Generation, maybe. But he referenced like several studies that were done, and how data is showing that like since 2010, that there has been such a rise in anxiety and depression in adolescents, and just like a lot of negative kind of emotions and behaviors and things, and that has been like, I mean, increased exponentially, like 100 and something % more than in years previous. And so the connection is that social media came out in 2012, or like, I guess, hit a boom around that time. And that young people, I mean, it's just, and essentially he said, just destroying brains, like destroying emotional capacity. And he went through this whole thing of like, how like, we're supposed to be able to kind of think our brains work from looking at the big picture to looking at the small. If you can kind of picture yourself outside and seeing the vast sky and the horizons, and then focusing in on a smaller task of, let's say, gardening, and how that is kind of the process by which our brains should be thinking, but that now we are putting a screen in front of our children. So if you can picture that pinpoint of attention and not seeing the big vastness, like small to big. And so, I mean, he explained it in a much bigger, deeper way, of course, than what I'm doing now. But it was fascinating. And it made so much sense, because you guys know I've said, like, if you are kind of feeling down, one way to kind of quickly pick yourself up is to find a view, like, of nature, like a very beautiful view. If you can see like an expansive amount of nature, like you might have to travel to the country, you might have to go to a park maybe, but if you can just see like an expanse of nature, it really can. It brings you back in. It kind of reminds you of your place. Like, the world is bigger. It'll be okay. And so it was very interesting to kind of hear him say that. And to talk about that, man, y'all know, like, that just, I'm like, my goodness. And it was just funny to hear at a tech conference, because here we are, pushing all kinds of technology things that we can use in the classroom. And he's like, get the kids off the computers. I think he meant more, like at home, and the excessive amount that they use, outside of school. But it almost sounded that he was like, dude, like, he was like, he basically was like from 8th grade and below, like they should not be having this much access, which I totally agree with. Because I know even as an adult, you guys, like that's what I've discovered, not discovered, but like definitely recognized this summer in my restfulness, that my brain, while my body's been resting, my brain's still going because I've still been getting on social media, like I said, and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all of that. And you can just scroll endlessly and it is wild. And it's so funny because I'll stop and I'll think about like, okay, well, what can I do other than this? Like what, and then it's like, I know there's more I can do. Like I can read a book because I love to read, but then I'm like, I like to read at night just because it's more calming and it does calm my brain down. But then I'm like, okay, well, what can I do during the day that doesn't involve my phone? And then I'll think about it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then I was like, well, I'll just get back on my phone, like, oh my goodness. So, and that that is my state of life right now, just being in the summer, being officially done with school and classes, I do like to stay busy. So when I'm not busy, sometimes I'm like, so anyway, but that did make me think of, I do want to kind of control my, how much I'm on my phone and stuff. But so I said all that to say my life hack. But one of the things I did, which I didn't realize I did, and then I was like, oh, this is good, was I got on YouTube and I was looking up different videos on like neck stretches and back stretches, because y'all know my neck and my back has still been hurting since like April or something. And I actually went to the doctor and I'm supposed to start physical therapy here in a couple weeks. I know, right? Like what is going on? But I'll be starting physical therapy, but I already kind of wanted to look into some of the exercises that I've needed to do and things I need to work on, because my back still hurts. Like my neck is still sore and I would like some relief now. And so I started YouTubing some videos and some quick ones. And then I found, and when I would watch like the little 5-minute ones and I would do the little exercises, and then I found like the shorts, and I was like, oh, there's some shorts and they're like a minute long exercises. Well, you guys, then I was on my phone on YouTube randomly, like a couple of days after that. And while I'm scrolling through YouTube, looking at different shorts, a short popped up for stretching your neck. And I was like, let me do it really quick. And it went through the exercise. It was literally like a minute long. And I clicked on it and I did the quick exercise. And then I could just kept going through my shorts. And I was like, oh, that's a life hack like that. If it's in my algorithm, then it'll show me some videos of like, hey, take a quick break for a second and stretch your neck. Because, the biggest reason I think my neck and back is hurt is because of my screen time and things like that, right? And so I was like, this is useful. And I think I did the same thing for my Instagram. I started looking up some stuff. So then when I go to like my search or whatever, like the search page, I guess, things that might interest you, there's some more like fitness and neck stretches and things like that. And I'm like, okay, now I can start clicking on them and like implementing them while I'm in the middle of it. Cause I won't necessarily go search for it, but if it's already there and in my algorithm, then that can help. So that's my life hack to you, that I maybe like whatever hobby you're wanting to do or whatever, you definitely, for stretching your neck, to help you with that, look up some videos for a little while. It doesn't even have to be a lot, y'all. I did it for like a day, if that, not even the whole day. Like I maybe did like 5 videos and then it popped up in my algorithm. So just do a few videos and it'll pop up in your algorithm and then remind you that, hey, take a quick moment to stretch your neck or something. So anyway, so that kind of is my kind of quick somewhat life hack that I discovered, that I want to do that. But like I said, I've had some very wonderful, lazy, and restful days. Restful being my reframe of lazy, which I think people do need to work on. Like, you guys, most of the time you think you're being lazy. I think you're just resting. Now, surely you could be like, I don't know, I'm borderline lazy. Yes, maybe, but I do think our bodies need more rest than we think that it does. But anyway, so I just mentioned, because I was going to wait to mention, but I'll go ahead and mention. So I do start physical therapy for my neck and my back here in a couple of weeks. I'll have to let y'all know how that goes. I'm kind of curious. I'm one of those who kind of enjoys the therapies. I wouldn't say enjoys because I haven't had it before, but I did have vocal therapy a couple years ago. And that's because, so my voice, I sing a lot at church, and I'm also a teacher. And at that time I was in the classroom. And so I was just constantly speaking with my teacher voice, and that's just projecting. Like, you're just constantly projecting your voice at all times. And so I remember when I my voice, like I wasn't able to sustain my singing, and that was bothering me because I would go to sing and then my voice would just be worn out by like the middle of the song, like end of the song, like by the end of the set, end of the day, and my voice would, and it would be scratchy for like a day and a half before it would get better. And it just got to that point where it was really frustrating. And there was actually a time where I couldn't sing for like, maybe 3 months. Where I didn't sing, and it was terrible. It was so hard to do, but I was trying to take care of my voice. And so then I went to a voice teacher, and we worked on things, and he was like, I really think you might need to actually go see a ENT, to see if you have like any nodules and things, and possibly go see a vocal therapist. And so I did go to the ENT, and they stuck that little thing down your nose, like that little scope thing, and she stuck it down my nose and checked out my little vocal cords, and I did have a small nodule on there. And so she said, obviously there could be surgery to remove it. There could be, or you could do some voice therapy and try that. And then at the end of that, see how you feel. Well, I chose voice therapy. I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I went to vocal therapy, speech therapist actually. And I was like, this is interesting because I've never been one to necessarily think that I needed speech therapy, but it was for the voice. And so I went to her, and she actually ended up being pretty cool. And we did, voice exercises, and she just taught me different things to be aware of and different ways. And she probably gave me the best suggestion, which was to use a voice amplifier while I taught. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. Like, I can't walk around with this microphone while I'm teaching. Like, that is so silly. Well, believe it or not, my mom had recently come to my school, and she used a voice amplifier, which is like a little mini microphone, while she taught. And so I was like, okay, fine. And she was like, just try it for like a week, the voice therapist. And so I did. And y'all, in that week, I did not care if anybody thought it was strange or not. I used that voice amplifier, and it was amazing. Like, I would just put it around my neck, and I didn't have to project. And I could feel the difference like within that week, honestly. I was like, wow, like I didn't realize just like how hard I was on my voice until I used that. And then y'all, get this, like within that next year, the entire district got every teacher like a voice microphone amplifier thing for their classroom, like that they can wear around their neck or that they can hold in their hand while they're teaching. I was like, y'all just caught up to this, which I had only done like the year before, but just little things like that. Like, I didn't stick with her long. I didn't need to. After, I guess, a few weeks, 6 weeks maybe, or a couple months or something, maybe 3 months, I don't remember, of the voice therapy, she felt good to, release me. I had my appointment. I had like a follow-up appointment after that, and the nodule was still there, but I felt better about how we were doing. And so she was like, we don't have to do surgery. You can still kind of continue these vocal things and see how that works. And I'll have to say that definitely has helped. So like, obviously it's things to do. Like, with the vocal therapy, she was like, make sure you're warming up before you sing, and make sure that you're drinking water, before you sing, and not just before you sing, but like 12 hours before you sing, and make sure that you're, use this vocal amplifier, and all those things helped. So with the physical therapy that I'm looking forward to, like I know more than likely they're just going to give me exercises that I need to do, but they'll be able to tell me how often I need to do it, which might be every day, which is like what you find on YouTube. But I think the difference of why I like going to these is because I feel like it's more targeted for me. Like, I can look stuff up on YouTube and I can try to diagnose myself and help myself, but I'm like, you know what? Let me go to somebody who knows what they're doing, and hopefully it'll be targeted towards me. And so I am looking forward to that, to see kind of what they have to say and what they're going to do, and to see how helpful it'll be, and to try the different exercises. I'm willing to try anything, because my back has been hurting, like I said, for the last few months now. So I am kind of excited about that. I'll have to keep y'all posted with my physical therapy journey. But yeah, so that's going on. Y'all, so I told y'all I had a really, I enjoyed the last couple weeks, and I'm gonna get into the big reason why I did. But I will talk about kind of some of the smaller reasons that have led to this being a fun last couple of weeks before I end on my yay, that was so much fun. And that was, one, it's been a little bit cooler. Okay. It's been in the 90s this past 2 weeks ago, a week, but then just a few days ago it rained, and I love summer rain, by the way, and it cooled it down to now we're mid 80s, and it is wonderful. You're like, mid 80s, I know, but after being in those 90s, y'all, mid 80s are just yay. yay, 85, wonderful. Which I've always said, like, the perfect temperature for me is between, what I say, 76 and 83, I think the highest. Like, that to me is like the best temperature. So the temperature has been wonderful. It's still definitely hot, but it's definitely been cooler, and I've enjoyed that. But a cool thing that I saw, cool must be my theme. I think I'm going to have to stick that in the title somewhere. But I saw 2 Cybertrucks in real life, which my mom told me the other day, not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago, that she had seen a Cybertruck. And it was funny when she was trying to describe it because she wasn't sure. She's like, I saw this car that was like this really odd square boxy shape. And I knew immediately what it was. I was like, a Cybertruck? She's like, I don't know. And I sent her a picture. She's like, yeah, that's it. I was like, yeah. Well, now I've seen one twice now in the same week. And I was like, oh, like Cybertruck? Like, what's going on here? So I don't know what's going on with Cybertrucks, but they are kind of interesting to see. It's kind of funny because they feel so futuristic looking. I don't really like how they look, but the more I see them, like when I watch tech videos or, which I do randomly watch tech videos, or when I see them, like when I just saw them in real life, it was like, it's kind of weird, but weird doesn't have to be bad. Like, okay, Cybertruck. Like, it's weird to call it a truck because it doesn't look like a truck to me. Because for a truck, I feel like it has to have like a bed, like the back of the truck. Like, I feel like that's necessary to be considered a truck. But I did, but it was cool to kind of see the 2 Cybertrucks. So I felt cool seeing that. And then, y'all, so this part, these 2 things probably aren't cool, but in some senses. So I was able to try a new place this past week to eat at. Y'all know me and food. And it was called Potbelly Sandwiches, maybe, something like that. And so I went to go get a sandwich, and I have to say, it wasn't bad. It tasted perfectly fine. Y'all, I know, and I just literally mentioned this last episode, but it costs so much just for a sandwich. I was like, y'all, like, this isn't good. And then I decided to get chips, okay? And so I got a bag of chips, and then the chips that they had were all kettle chips. I don't know about you, but for me, kettle chips are the most overrated chip there is out there. I don't care what flavor it is. I don't care what brand it is. Kettle chips to me just aren't good. Like, they're not good. I'm like, what is the point of the kettle chip? Like, it's too crunchy, it's too hard, it's not flavorful, it has a weird flavor. All of them have this like bottom flavor that just tastes like every chip. It's just really weird. They're terrible. And then I looked, I was like, well, maybe because they're fewer in calorie. No, these things were still high in calorie. I was like, still 200 and something calories for a small bag. I was like, what? Who does kettle chips and why? If you're a kettle chip eater, tell me why. It's got to be because they're just extra crunchy, which I don't need. Like, just a regular amount of crunch will do it for me. But the flavor, they're just terribly flavored. I don't know. So that was terrible. So it wasn't a bad place. I just know I probably won't be back. I did go to another place and tried for the first time, called Salsaritas, which is kind of like a Qdoba. And their food was pretty good. It really honestly tasted just like Qdoba. My one beef is that I got the chocolate chip cookie without even thinking about, how much it costs. Because in my brain, I was like, it's a chocolate chip cookie. It's going to be like $1 something, maybe like $2. Y'all, that cookie was $3. $3 for a cookie. That hurt me. That's just like Crumble Cookie. Did I tell y'all that when I went to Crumble Cookie, that their price have gone up too? Like, you used to be able to get 4 cookies for $13. It was like $12.99. But now they're like $15.99. It was like $16 for 4 cookies. I was like, y'all are hurting me. I know. It's just money and stuff, but I was like, oh my goodness. And I know prices are going up everywhere except Cracker Barrel, but man, it just hurt. So that hurt me. I have to admit, you guys, I might have to start like just making cookies at home, because my goodness, like, I don't know if I can justify paying $3 for a singular cookie. I don't know, y'all, what's happening to me? Is this what it feels like to be restful? You can say no to the desserts. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe once I get stressed out again, I'll be like, I don't care if it's a $10 cookie. But anywho, so I did buy that $3 cookie, and it was okay. It wasn't the best cookie I've ever had, but it wasn't bad by any means. So that leads me to one of the most exciting things I did this past week. So on my phone, I have a list of things I want to try that I don't do very often. And one of those is go to a comedy show. And this past week, I was able to go to a comedy show and I was so excited. So I went to the comedy show of this guy called Trey Kennedy. You might have heard of him. He is a Christian influencer. I think he was what do you call him? Like a social media influencer, maybe before he was officially a comedian. And I think because he got so popular on there and was funny, that I think that kind of started his comedian career. And so I went to his comedy show, and I have to admit, like, I went because of him. Like, I think he's cool. I listen to his podcast every week. I watch most of his the content that he puts out. But one of the other reasons I really wanted to go is one of the podcasts I listen to that you've heard me reference before is called Ghost Runners Podcast. And it's what got me on the whole podcast thing in the first place. It's what got me listening to podcasts. It's what got me creating a podcast. And it's these two Christian guys from Kansas City. Well, one of them is friends with Trey Kennedy and works with him. And in fact, that's how I even found them. Was I knew Trey Kennedy, and then I knew he had a podcast with this guy whose name was Jake. And then I knew Jake had a separate podcast with another guy named Brad. And so when I listened to their podcast, I loved it. And so then, so that's how that started. So Jake ended up being like the opener comedian for Trey. And so I was excited because these were two comedians of people whose podcasts I listen to. And so while, I've known Trey longer, I'm a huge fan of Jake and Brad, who's his partner on the other podcast, but Brad wasn't there. So I was really excited because I was like, I think Jake's going to be the opener. Like, I knew he was going to be out of town for a little bit because, podcasts, you kind of know about people's lives. But I was hoping he would be back in time, and he was. And so I dragged my sister down to go see Trey Kennedy, and we go there. Of course, I get there a little early, and I go shopping. I say a little bit of shopping. I didn't buy anything, but I would have had I found something that I liked. But I went to my Clothes Mentor, which is one of my favorite places to shop at. And then afterward, my sister and we went to eat some Thai food, and I got some pad Thai. And then we went to the Opera House where Trey Kennedy was performing, and it was really cool. Okay, so I've been to, of course, theaters before because I've seen plays and things, but I've honestly haven't been to a comedy show, like, ever, I don't think. And so I was excited. My sister and we sat near the back. She doesn't like being around people, so that's kind of like, I did that mostly for her. But it was a small enough venue that even sitting in the back, you had good views and everything. And so, I go there, and we're sitting there, and I'm taking pictures. It's kind of exciting. Well, then my first guy gets up, and he, introduces himself, and I'm like, yeah, screaming. Y'all know I'm a screamer. And I'm like, yeah. Glad to see him. And he did great, and it was fun. And I was like, wow, like, that's really him in person. Like, that's my podcast guy in real life. It was wild. And then, so then he got off the stage, and Trey came on, and Trey did his set, which he did really good. I laughed quite a bit. And he did his set, and then he left, and I was like, this was really cool. But y'all, the best part was coming. So then, I know that my guy, Jake Triplett, he usually goes to hang out in the lobby because he's not the main guy like Trey Kennedy. So Trey probably not, because then people would go wild. But Jake, not many people know who he is. A lot of people go for, of course, Trey, because he's the main attraction. But if you so happen to know Jake, then you're like, okay, like, he's going to be in the lobby. And so I was sitting there with my friend, or not sitting there, I was standing there with my sister, and we were just waiting. And I was like, people are coming out, flooding out. And I was like, okay, I know he usually comes to the lobby. There was a Facebook group page, and like other people who also listen to the podcast were like, is he going to meet us? Are we going to get a ghosty picture in the lobby? And so I was standing there, and I was just waiting, and I'm just standing, like, playing my phone, like, looking around. And my sister was like, is that him? And I look up, and I kid you not, like, right in front of me, there he is on his phone. I was like, oh, there he is, and immediately start fangirling. It was so funny. And I was like, that's him. And so I ended up being close to the front of the line. So these people came up to him that he kind of seemed like he knew. So they were talking to him. And then the other girl, this random girl who was there, she started talking to him. And then he's just free. And I'm standing right there. And I was just like, hi, I'm a ghostie, which is what the people who listen to his podcast call themselves. They're like, hey, ghosties, different podcasts, people have different names. And And he was like, hey, and I was like, I'm Phoebe. And he's like, well, nice to meet you. Glad you can come out, da, 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 da. And he's just talking. I'm just grinning. Y'all, it was so cool. I was sweating up a storm. Y'all already know I sweat like a man, but I was sweating even more because I was like, I don't even know what to say. Y'all know I like to be prepared, right? I was not prepared. And then where I was standing, I was like at the front of the line of all the people who wanted to meet him. Like I look behind me and there's at least, I don't know, 30 people and they're all like waiting. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm at the front. So I don't even have time to come up with something cool. So I'm just like, hi, I'm Phoebe. I'm a ghostie. Yeah, I like to listen to your podcast. I was gonna say like, I listened to your podcast. I've been listening since 2020. I really enjoy you guys. But instead I was just like, yeah, like the whole time. And then my sister, he was like, does she? I was like, no. He's like, I could tell. Like, she doesn't seem like she knows who I am. I'm like, she doesn't. And my sister was like, no, I definitely don't know who you are. But I came to support my sister, and that got a laugh. I was like, yeah, she has no clue who you are. Y'all, it was ridiculous, but it was so much fun. And like, because I've never met like a so-called celebrity before. And it just seems so cool. And this kind of reminds me of one time when I need time to process when I'm around people who impress me. Like when I don't, because I just won't know what to say, right? So I was very impressed by him. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's the guy. Like I know everything about his life. I listen to his podcast every week. I mean, he makes 3 podcasts a week, 2 of them for Ghost Runners and 1 of them with Trey Kennedy. And I listen to all 3 every week. And so I feel like I really know this person, but not, at the same time. And so it was just so exciting. Well, kind of an experience I had like this was, so there's this lady who, she's a famous kind of preacher within my organization, Dr. Jostrin, Dr. Janice Jostrin. And I remember my friend Emily and I, which I'm gonna have to get her on the podcast, y'all. I mean, we got some stories too. I love her. Anyway, we went to go hear her, not just to hear her speak, but we went to go to a conference, a ladies' conference, kind of, a general conference, but I think it specifically had like a ladies' day or something. And I went to go hear her speak. And I remember at the end, I was like, friend, I want to go like talk to her and then ask her some advice about some stuff. And friend was like, okay, I'll wait for you. When I say we waited for like 40 minutes, I don't know if it was 40, but it felt that long. But not for me to get my courage, but like I can't walk up and interrupt. And so she was talking to other people and other people just get like going and talking and be in front of her talking. And I was just like waiting because I was like, I don't know. Like I'm just blah. And so I get that way around people. That goes back to I was trying to be cool, but then my goofiness comes over and all of a sudden I'm not cool at all. But I remember I finally did go talk to her and I was able to be like, hi, nice to meet you. And then I asked her my question and she gave me her very quick response, but it was cool. But I was like, thank you. Okay, bye. And that's the other thing. I don't know how to say bye. Usually I'm just like, okay, nice to meet you. Bye. So anyway, so that was cool back in the day, and that was cool this past week, was going to that show and then sticking around to like meet one of the people afterward. Like it just felt cool. Like sometimes you guys, you have to try to put yourself in a situation that you wouldn't normally do. Not a bad one, but like just to kind of like, hey, experience life a little. Like now I feel like I've experienced life a little. I'm not going to forget that. Like that's so cool. In the middle of my regular, mundane, restful summer, like that was just an experience that I got that maybe not everybody gets or that I may not frequently get, but one that I did get. And I totally loved that and enjoyed it. So I would say if there is, you guys look for it. I don't know if you're someone like me who like, I know people that I listen to like on podcasts or things will announce that they're going somewhere or going on tour or going to be on some show or what have you. And you're just thinking like, oh, okay. But like, hey, one day make the effort to like go to one. Be like, okay, like this person I like host a series, something, or they're speaking at this conference or, whatever, go to it. Like it could be, a preaching conference, go to that. It could be a comedian. It could be a musician. My next thing I want to do, y'all already know, is go to the Brandon Lake concert. Cause I haven't been to a concert in ages. I don't think I've been since I've been an adult. So, it's one of those things like you got to do it. I know sometimes it's like, oh, is it worth it? It's worth it. It's pretty cool. The money's worth it. Yeah. Buying those tickets and that daggone, what is that? The what are they called? The service fees or whatever. was like, what? Like the ticket wasn't that expensive, but then it was like an extra $10 per ticket for a service fee. And that didn't include taxes. I was like, y'all hurting me here. So anyway, but just pay the thing and go. I will say, one thing that we did, one thing that was cool when I got there was it's always tough to try to park anywhere. I mean, if you're going downtown anywhere, parking can be a bear. And so I was driving around, but usually, at night, parking is free after a certain time. So I was driving around, my sister and I, trying to find parking for this comedy show. And there's one lot that these people were at, and they're like, $15, you could park here and we'll watch your stuff. And I was like, let me just do another sweep. Because, y'all, one, I didn't feel like paying $15 because I already spent money on the tickets and everything. But two, I was like, I know there's free parking on the streets. So I did drive around and I found a spot and I parked there for free and was able to walk not very far to the Opera House. And when we came out, we walked back and it wasn't very far. It wasn't super dark or anything because it was like 9 something when we were done. And it was still light enough outside. Like my sister and I, we felt good walking together, getting to our car and everything. So I will say, if you can, street parking I think is kind of nice. I'm not going to suggest it. Like if you can have your stuff, watched or whatever, but I will say I did feel kind of like, yes, I saved $15, which was kind of nice. But all right, so I do want to share one more thing that I practiced this week that I thought was pretty cool, and that was, and then we'll wrap it up. But that was I practice thanking God. And I say that, it's something that everybody says we should do every day. Thank God, I thank God for this. I thank God for that. And I do. But then I also, when I pray, I often ask God for a lot of things. And I mean, and He wants us to, like, He's God. He is in control of everything. He knows everything. He's who we go to, right? When we need things. But this specific prayer, I was like, God, sometimes I don't want to say you get tired of asking for the same thing over and over, but sometimes you're like, God, you already know, I just told you yesterday. But I was like, I think I want to thank God for stuff. And so I just started saying, thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for whatever. But then I was like, okay, let me go through the Lord's Prayer, which is what I try to do every day to kind of focus my prayer. And I was like, let me go through it, but not asking God anything, but thanking Him. And obviously, like, go through the Lord's Prayer like you're supposed to, like, ask for things, pray over things, etc. But I just wanted to, like, just see how it would be different. So I went through the Lord's Prayer. I was like, okay, my Father which art in heaven, like, hallowed be your name. That's praising and exalting God. So I was like, okay, that works. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And right there, I was like, okay, technically this is like a request. So if I was going to flip it around to a thank you, what would it be? And I was like, thank you for your kingdom. So I was like, okay, thank you, God, for like the people that you already have on earth who are part of your kingdom. Thank you for those who are becoming part of your kingdom, who are entering into the church. Thank you for. So I started thanking God for that, and thank you for specific people in my church and things like that. So thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And then I was like, okay, I asked for God's will, but do I ever thank Him for His will? So I was like, thank you for your will being done in my life. And y'all, when I said that, I had to like take a moment and be like, whoa. Thank you for your will being done in my life. Like every day I ask, God, let your will be done. Let your will be done in my life. Just let your will be done. And what if God is over here like, I am letting my will. Yep, my will is happening right now, And so I was like, thank you for your will being done in my life. And so I started going through different things. I was like, if this is happening, God, this must be your will. Whatever it looks like, however it is, this is your will. And I thank you for it. And I was like, okay, I kind of like this. This is so interesting. So thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give me this day my daily bread. So I was like, okay, thank you, Lord, for my daily bread. Thank you for providing me everything I need for today. Thank you for the joy. Thank you for the peace. Thank you for what I need to be a good reflection of you. Like, I was like, oh my, it was just, y'all, can you feel the shift? It was so cool. So give me this day my daily bread and forgive me my debts as I forgive my debtors. So that one, of course, I had to say, God, forgive me my sins. That's a daily prayer. But then I was like, okay, but thank you for forgiving me for my sins. I know, it was so cool. I was like, thank you for forgiving me of my debts, of my trespasses, of the things thank you for your forgiveness. Thank you for your grace and your mercy, as we forget about it, lead me not into temptation. God, thank you for keeping me from temptation, but deliver me from evil. thank you for delivering me from evil. I was like, thank you for delivering me from those things that could have come against me or my family. And I go through like the whole shebang, like physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, socially, financially, all those things. And I was like, oh my, thank you for that. For yours is the kingdom. Again, thank you for your kingdom, the power, thank you for your power, and the glory. I'm like, thank you for your glory. Thank you for hopefully my life bringing you glory. Like it was so cool. Forever and ever, amen. And so then I would just be like, okay, thank you, God. So then I also started, praying about the things that I wanted to pray for. Like, God, I pray for my husband at work. And so I was like, okay, let me flip it. Thank you, Lord, for my husband being in this position at work. Like, I thank you for this opportunity for him to da 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 da. It was just cool. Or, when I was praying for other people who were friends of mine or whatever, I'm like, thank you for moving in this way. And even thanking for things in advance. So I think it was the day before I went to the comedy show, or maybe the same day, I can't remember. But I was like, thank you for letting me enjoy myself at the comedy show. Because y'all know, if it's something new, I do get a little anxious about it, right? Because I like to have a pretty good idea of how things are going to roll, how things are going. But if I've never done it, then I don't know. So I was a little anxious about it. And I was like, God, I just hope it's fine. I hope it's just good. I hope the experience is good. So then I said, you know what? Thank you, God, for letting me have a good experience going there and, enjoying it. It's a, Christian comedian. We should be good, et cetera. So thank you for that. Thank you for the opportunity for me to try something different that I don't normally get to do. Thank you for this opportunity to hang with my sister. And it ended up being just as great and wonderful as I thanked God for. So I even thanked God in advance for things. And honestly, so that week, just a little vulnerable moment, I was feeling very anxious about a very specific situation in my life, and I just didn't know what the outcome would be. And so I said, okay, I don't know. Normally I say, God, I pray this, I pray that, I pray this. But I was like, God, thank you for working this out for me. And this is in advance. I don't know yet. I won't know for a little bit, but thank you for letting everything be okay. Thank you for letting the best happen, And so that was it was something I practiced this week, just for a day or two. But it's something I want to get better at. Obviously I want to pray for things, but I also want to thank God for things. It ended up being a pretty cool, I would say, kind of moment with God and everything. So I want to throw that out there as something that, hey, if you feel like it or feel like trying, try to spend a prayer, one prayer time, thanking God for things you'd normally just pray for. It's so interesting. But yeah, so you guys, here we are. It is, I'm wrapping things up. I'm wrapping things up just like this summer is wrapping up. Hey, did y'all know that the next episode that comes out after this one, I'll be back in school already? I would have started the day before, y'all. I'm hurt. I'm like, oh my, this summer, it flew by. I'd like to say it went slow in some places, which it did, but it definitely went fast in some places. Y'all, I'm not ready. I think I'm still trying to be restful, but honestly, I think I only have, another week and a half before I'm going back a little early to help with some screenings and some trainings for our kindergartners to help with that. But so that means it's even earlier that I start back, which is just wild. But honestly, you know what? I'm thanking God for an amazing next school year. Thanking him in advance that it's going to be great. There's going to be lots of changes because, we're getting a new principal, a new counselor, new teachers, so many different people in the building. And we had a lot of new people last year. So it's just going to be a completely different year. But I'm believing and hoping for the best. And I'm thanking God for a really good year. So while I am kind of my summer is almost over, I do look forward to what this next year will bring. And so anywho, you guys, I hope y'all had an amazing last couple of weeks. I hope these next couple of weeks go great. If you are a teacher or a student, okay, you guys, we can do this. This next school year is going to be amazing. It's going to be great. Teachers will be started. I don't know if students will be yet. I don't quite know when people go back to school. I know some districts go back in July. Y'all, that would mess me up. I'd be like, no. You got to leave my July alone. But so for anybody who's going back to school, I'm believing the best for y'all. I'm hoping you have a happy and amazing next couple of weeks and a fantastic start to your school year. Alrighty, I'll catch y'all in a couple of weeks.